when you have these massive life-changing events in a year or in a couple of months, that does change your outlook on life. And I wonder if what we're getting now in the last couple of weeks and months is seeing that in William, that whatever has happened this week, or what has happened this year with the cancer with his father and his wife, has dramatically changed his outlook on life and changed the way that he wants to proceed as Prince of Wales.
Well, I think so. And as you're saying that, I'm thinking of the video that Kate allowed to go out, you know, with very intimate family moments, you know, behind closed doors at Anma, which we've never seen. I think we are seeing a new level of transparency, not just in them sharing their cancer diagnosis and that we know the King's going through weekly treatment. I mean, you mentioned the late Queen. That would never have happened. We never got those sort of medical briefings. It was private, it was medical, and that was it. And I think it's important. I think they've got the tone right. I'll be very interested to see what the popularity polls are showing sort of towards the end of this year, early next year, compared to perhaps at the start of King Charles's reign. You're right, we are still in that transition period. I suspect the popularity for the royal family after this year will be at an all-time high.
Yes.
Ignoring the comments that we spoke about at the beginning, that's just a
But Matt,
minority.
I think that's the minority.
Yeah.
I really do.
I think you're right.
I think there's corners of the internet that will jump on that stuff always, but I think there's been such an outpouring of support and empathy for the royal family this year that we really haven't seen before.
I agree.
So you talk about the openness and transparency and the willingness to kind of talk about emotions. Is this what... Because also in his interview he spoke about royal family with a small r. What do you think that means?
I think that's all part of... when he was 18, I think it was when he was 18, he said he didn't want to be an ornamental royal.
Okay.
And I think this is all about William as Prince of Wales almost setting out the benchmark for what his reign will one day look like. And we don't know when that's going to be, but it's not going to be royal with a capital R. It's like he's not going to be political with a capital P. It's not downplaying it. This comes with huge respect for the institution and everything it stands for. I think it's just him wanting to do it his way. So rather than always being addressed as Sir, you know, perhaps first name terms, perhaps not always needing to wear a tie, perhaps actually rolling up the shirt sleeves, it's taking royalty to the next generation. That's my interpretation of it.
I think it's so interesting that we heard him say this because, well, first of all, to define how he said it, he said, it's more about impact, philanthropy, collaboration, convening and helping people. And I'm also going to throw empathy in there because I really care about what I do. It helps impact people's lives. And I think we could do with some more empathetic leadership around the world. What's interesting about this quote is we have actually discussed a lot on the show in recent weeks, this new approach that he seems to have brought to his role and that Kate has been doing as well, which is more, and I think this is what he's saying, to interpret William's words, it's targeted specific things, causes that they care about. For example, the Earthshot Prize, for example, the homelessness and Kate's early years work. It's less of that traditional, you know, royals going out and opening a bunch of, you know, new leisure centres and hitting as many engagements as they can in a day. It's targeted and it's finding solutions for big problems and things that they can really sink their teeth into over many years. And so it was interesting that he said that because it really is off the back of there being so much discussion about the way that he's approaching it in a different way. And we had suspected that that was the sort of thing that he was looking at doing. Yeah,
he's kind of signposted it in recent years, coming back from I call it a disastrous Caribbean tour, because it was, you know, spectacular. And they learnt the errors of that. They learnt what the mistakes were, and they said, we're going to do things the Cambridge way, as they called it then, because that was before the Waleses. And then in Singapore last year, he talked about wanting to have more impact. I do worry that it might be some of the quotes you're reading out there that he actually said could it be interpreted as like California speak? You know, could it be looked at a little bit soft?
Well, there is difficulty. So I personally love seeing, you know, the younger royals getting out there and really throwing themselves into things they care about. I think it's been wonderful to see. I think they're doing really great work. I do wonder down the line what it looks like if there is too much of a dramatic shift, because the very institution that they are representing is one that is very historic and people are very dedicated. The people that support them are very dedicated and committed to what that already looks like. Look at the late Queen's popularity. So if it moves too far away from that, I do wonder how that goes in the long run for them, because the idea of the royal family is one that's very sacred to a lot of people. And I don't think, I mean, we've seen in recent years, big changes aren't particularly wanted by a lot of people. So I do wonder how they'll approach it. I think it probably shouldn't be too quick or too dramatic, but more of a gradual change into the new era?
Well, I think he's 100% committed to the ceremonial stuff. I mean, trooping, investitures, at the cenotaph and stuff like that. None of that will go. It's just his way as a 42-year-old man of saying, this is how I want to, step into the Prince of Wales role. Can I be naughty and ask you, Katie, whether you think what he's said in the last couple of weeks, or the changes that he's made while he's been Prince of Wales to the role compared to how his father ran it, do you see similarities there in what Prince Harry has done in the USA, where he's wanted to, say, speak more openly, speak about empathy, speak about this kind of stuff, and also, champion smaller causes rather than take on these kind of huge royal family events like the Caribbean tour?
I was actually thinking exactly that as you were talking, because I was thinking one person who's probably sitting there thinking, but this is what I've been saying all along, is the Duke of Sussex. Let's be more open. Let's show more empathy. Let's do things a little bit differently. I mean, one of the reasons that Harry felt he needed to leave was because he didn't feel he could bend the institution the way he wanted to do things. And I think we have seen the royals take a leaf out of his book. I don't think it's ever going to become too California, too that sort of psychobabble that actually no one really understands. They're not going to allow that to happen. That's not them.
Yeah.
It's one thing opening up. It's one thing seeing that the king, give a big hug to someone rather than just shake their hand, or admit, as he did the other evening, that the documentary that the Queen had done on domestic violence had reduced him to tears. That's fine. That's relatability, connectivity, and empathy. But the backbone of what they do isn't going to change. That sort of service to others, lifelong commitment to duty, that backbone that props the whole institution up, that's not going to change. So I think it's modernising at some pace, but I think it's only now had the opportunity to do that because the late Queen's reign was so lengthy, it didn't have the opportunity to modernise the way it is now. But I think you're right, can't jump too quickly ahead of the curve. It has to keep up. But
I do love seeing this work being done.
I
think
do too, and I think the public do.
Yeah.
I think the public do.
Yeah.
It had to change, that's the point.
Yeah, no, it's just interesting to see, like, William is trying to modernise it within the royal family. Harry has thrown his toys out the pram and is trying to modernise his role outside of the royal family. And I think I know which one will be more successful. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it develops over the next couple of years, because we've still got another 5 or 6 years of Earthshot, 6 years of Earthshot. We've got, Princess of Wales's annual Christmas Carol concert. So there is a whole, a decade plus of seeing how this, new changes that William and Catherine are bringing into their roles are going to play out. So,
and I think also a big factor in the changed approach is also just, as we've talked about before, this year. This has been a really dramatic and emotional year for them, and they have shared a bit more than usual, and I guess that's how they're going to proceed now as well. So I like it. I think it's working. I think people are connecting with it.